Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the Wareham Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. The Wareham Conservation Commission will hold a meeting under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and/or the Town of Wareham Wetland Protection Bylaw Division 6 and any other applicable laws on Wednesday, February 15th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. All matters listed may involve a decision or possible vote. All hearings of the Wareham Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Town of Wareham Wetlands Protection Bylaw Division 6. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. Before we start, I would like to welcome, we have a new member, Autumn. Thank you, Wood is joining us. And Kwame, can you start introducing yourself around?
Yeah, Kwame Barty.
Michael Mercier.
Joshua Faraday.
Sandy Slavin.
Carol Melanson.
Nicole Accardo.
Thank you. Okay, Kwame, with the first hearing, please.
This is a notice of public hearing pursuant of the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands
Oh, you
Protection
can
Act.
forget the first paragraph. I just said it.
Oh, you did?
Go right to the description.
I don't mind reading
Oh,
again. Okay, so Section 40 in the Wareham Wetlands Protected Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held in room 320, Wareham Multicultural Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. On Wednesday, February 15th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. On request of determination of applicability for Brett Bouchier. JC Engineering, 2854 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, Mass. 02538. To construct a breezeway, garage, and a 2020 addition to an existing house located on the Assessor's Map 58, Lot B55, 32 Fairfield Drive, Wareham, Mass.
thank you. Please identify yourself to represent the project.
Thank you. Good evening. Brad Bertola with JC Engineering on behalf of the builder. This property is located at 32 Fairfield Drive. Currently contains a single-family dwelling. The property owner would like to construct two additions, a garage addition to the south side with a small breezeway and a addition to the north side, which would be a bedroom. They plan on relocating a bedroom from the other portion of the house so that the structure remains as three bedrooms. The site is adjacent to some wetlands that are on the back lot, and only a portion of the project is located within the 100-foot buffer zone, which is the very rare of the addition to the north, where it's in between the deck and the shed shown on plan. All other site work is within land subject to coastal storm flowage, but there are no major grade changes proposed other than some minor grading in front of the garage doors to tie the garage to the existing driveway. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Josh, any comments on it?
None.
I'm going to ask the commission's Nicole?
No questions, thank you.
Carol?
No questions.
Michael?
The only question I would have had was, what was the addition for? I just wanted to mention the plan, but I think you answered it already with the...
Garage and like a first floor bedroom.
That it was going to be a bedroom, but no, thank you.
Kwame?
No questions, thank you.
Autumn, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to question or comment on this project? I'm seeing none. I need a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. A negative what?
3.
Motion to accept the project with a, did you say -3? With a -3 determination?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstained? You have it. Please see Josh before you start any work. And before we go to the next hearing, I need to announce that we've had a continuance request by Corkley at River Terrace and Valaco at 72B Burgess Point Road. Is there anybody here for those hearings? We will be continuing and having no discussion on them. All right. Kwame, the next one, please.
Okay, this is a request of determination of applicability for Wareham Lake Shores Improvement Association, P.O. Box 377, East Wareham, Mass. 02538, to replace existing timber steps and fill steps with crushed stone located on Assessors Map 120, Lot 100333, Wareham Lake Shore Drive, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. And who's representing this project?
Matthew Shannon.
Okay, Matthew, we're going to ask you to spell that last name for me.
Shannon.
Thank you. You're up. Comment on it.
We're coming for the
Yep, we'll
board.
need the green, we'll need the
Oh,
cards.
sorry.
Don't trip on the wires.
Thank you, sir. We're coming before the board to request permission to replace some of the rotted timbers and to fill in some of the low spots in the pathway down to our beach. Pretty much that's it.
Josh, any comments on it?
Yep, I just have one question. So this is the pathway you are talking about here in the
Yes.
photo. Okay. The stakes that were on the path.
Yep.
There were a few that were a lot further than the last timber. Was that just to show the path, or do you plan on extending that far?
No.
It was
after
just to
that-
show the path?
Yep.
Okay, then I have no comment.
Can we, I took the picture of the wrong path. Yeah, I took this one.
Oh. Yeah, he had it staked pretty early.
The day
Is
after
this-
you told
No,
me
the
to.
day
The same
after.
day I did
Is
it.
this the one we're looking at?
I have,
No, it would have been to the
Pictures.
left of that. I did have a picture
Because
up,
this one
but-
didn't look too good either.
that would be the center path, probably, that you looked at.
I'm not doing too well with the right pictures, have I been? I had a couple in the last meeting, the wrong pictures.
I'll make no comment.
Do you have questions from the board? I'm going to go the other way. Kwame,
No questions, thank you.
Michael,
No questions?
Carol,
No questions?
Nicole,
No questions, thank you.
Autumn.
No questions, thank you.
Is there a lot of erosion down this path? The water comes off the street, right?
That's at the higher point of the street, so not so much there. Probably the path that you looked at is a
Because the
lot
one I
more.
looked at, I thought that
lot
was the
more
one that had a
eroded.
lot of erosion. So
Yes.
this is where you want to replace
Yes,
the timber steps and fill in the low points with
Yep.
gravel.
yep.
Is there anybody in the audience would like to speak to this project? I'm seeing none. We have all our questions. There were none. Are you set with it?
I'm good, yep.
Negative what?
We have to close the hearing.
I know in a minute.
3 again.
Okay, let's close the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, we're closed the hearing. Now. -3.
Motion to accept the project with a negative determination number 3?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Done. See Mr. Faraday before you'd start any work. I almost said shit. That was years of being consistent. I will try not to.
13 years, it's
Yeah,
understandable.
I'd like to thank the board for your time.
okay. Next one, please.
It's gonna get tough. Okay, so this is a request for a notice of intent for Paul A. M. Hunt and Mary H. Mias, GAF Engineering, 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to construct a single-family dwelling, detached garage, relocate an existing shed, and raise and dispose of an existing cottage located on Assessors Map 124, Lot A-3A.
Sir?
A-4A, 1005, 1006, 303, and 305 Plymouth Ave, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. And who represents the project? Mr. Madden, I caught you in the,
In the moment. I'm Bill Madden from GAF Engineering here on behalf of the applicant. Would you like half-size plans or?
I'd like one, please.
please.
Okay.
I'm good with what,
Yeah, I'll take one, please.
I think I have a
Thank
bigger
you.
one, Mike, if you want to look at it.
they'll share.
No, I have this one, never mind.
Whoop,
Thanks,
don't trip. You're tangled in the wire. We'll tape that down next time. We got green cards, right?
Yep.
Okay. You're up.
Okay, I'm Bill Madden from GAF Engineering here on behalf of the applicant. The project before you is a notice of intent for the construction of a new dwelling in a detached garage, as well as some site work, relocation of a shed, and the demolition of an existing cottage that exists down by the shore of White Island Pond. As you can see, there's a fair amount of site work that is planned to take place in order to accommodate the new house. Changing of the grade a little bit is one of the key things that we're proposing to do to better facilitate the site and the construction of the house. Everything slopes from Plymouth Street down to White Island Pond. You can see that we're reconstructing a portion of the driveway. We're adding some walkways. We're providing roof infiltration for the roof runoff from the house and from the garage. There's a small shed that's going to be relocated down there in the, I don't know, I'm looking for my north arrow there. I guess it would be to this, let's call it the southerly end of the site. And once the new building is constructed, I think it's desired to remove the cottage at that time. May occur sooner than that. I'm not 100% sure on that. But that's essentially what the project consists of. We will be providing a septic system tie-in for the existing house. That leaching field that's shown on the plan, it actually services the house to the north and this existing house in the cottage presently. When we discontinue the use of the cottage, we'll remove the manhole, the pump, the manhole and the pump and the discharge line that goes to the leaching field. And the leaching field will be common between both houses, the one to the north and the one that we're speaking of tonight. The Board of Health is reviewing that plan for compliance with Title V. As far as I'm told, that there's not been any issue with that, but I haven't seen a formal letter from the Board of Health. We have a DEP file number on the project, and essentially the comment that was raised by DEP was there was not a bank issued or shown on the plan. There is a bank, obviously, to contain the edge of the pond. We're not going to be working near that. The closest work to that will be the demolition of the existing cottage, and we're not expecting that to have any impact on the bank. And that's pretty much what I have to offer on it, and happy to entertain any questions.
Okay. Nicole?
So the existing septic system, that's this front part, like that little box over there?
Yeah, it's the one that, you see where the dark letters is, existing septic system to components to be flagged in the field. So we put little triangles where the leaching field is, and what we're asking is that the contractor stake that out, mark it off, and prevent any access to that by construction equipment. So that was the point there, but that is where the leaching field is.
Okay, and then it ties in over here, is that those two boxes right there, that's part of the septic system, right?
Yes, we have a pump chamber and a septic tank associated with the new house, and there's a dotted line from the house to the north that goes to I guess it goes to that, I have a plan in front of me, you can't really see too well on it. But yeah, there's an existing line that goes into the leaching field from the house on the north.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was looking in the right spot.
Yeah, I think you were.
I have no other questions.
Carol?
No questions at this time.
Michael?
Yes, yes, on the plan I was reading, there was a plan for a proposed in-ground pool, and even when I went down to the site, I saw stakes for a pool. but
I
I'm-
think you're in the
I'm not-
wrong house.
You're looking at the wrong one.
No, 1 Johnson Avenue?
No,
No.
This is.
we're at 303 Plymouth Ave.
What,
This one.
second week, maybe the second week in a row I did that then. Oh, I know which one you're talking about now, no, okay, never mind, no comments then. Second week in a row I did that.
I'm not the only. Kwame?
I think the only question I had, I think it was the grade level, with the sloping down. I think where, I don't have my glasses, I can't see, but where, where the line, the utility line, over on that side, the utility line, everything else is going to be as is. You're not doing any grading on that side, right? Is that correct? That's what I'm reading at, right?
Well, I think that there's a fair amount of grading that is going to take place really across that whole central portion of the site. Those heavier dark lines with the numbers in them, with the kind of curvy, those all represent
Yeah.
the new grading. I think we're taking a little curse off the slope and providing a little better situation for the house construction. As far as the detailing goes, we do show erosion control in a couple of different manners. We show both silt fence and hay bale coupled with, silt fence alone or hay bale and a silt fence. So there's erosion control placed at the perimeter of the activities, and nothing else is proposed other than stabilization of the disturbed areas upon completion of the work.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Josh, I forgot to ask if you had anything. I'm sorry.
No, I was waiting my turn, no worries. Down in the no activity zone around that line, there's quite a few big maple trees. Are those proposed to stay? There's some maples and oaks down there.
It looks to me that the plan indicates that everything waterwood of the no activity zone are to remain.
Okay.
And then I think that the grading indicates that anything above that would be altered or removed.
Yeah, you would probably have to, even just for the buildings.
Yeah.
The erosion controls, what is the plan in putting those in? Because you have the one that's staked along the 30-foot, no activity that runs, to the north. And then you have this square here around the cottage. I imagine you're probably taking the cottage out after construction, so they have access to the property, for however long construction of the house takes.
That's what my understanding is, and we just want to isolate off that when the demolition occurs, just envelope the site in erosion control, take
Yes.
care of our work, fill the excavation, go from there.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be to put in that one straight line there, and then when you go to do, raise that cottage, come in and put in.
Box it in?
Yeah, box it in then. I had a few other potential issues with the site. There's a couple flipped over floating docks that are in the water that will need to be taken care of. The existing wooden dock should be licensed because we're on a great pond. There's also a gangway that was in, pretty buried in some vegetation, but right along the water there. I think that's all I have.
So remove the structures in the pond, including the wooden dock, needs to be licensed? Should we have it removed until it's licensed?
That'd be my suggestion. It is a great pond. So by Chapter 91 standards, it is required.
And the gangway that's in the brush, all structures around the pond need to be removed, in and around the pond.
Yeah, so there's one, it looked like a floating dock that it appeared to be on their property. It might not be, but it was down in this corner that would need to be removed. And then they have an existing wooding dock that's right off from the cottage.
So I guess they'll be back in front of us at some time when they want their dock back.
I would suspect that would be the case, yes.
Anything else?
I'm all set.
How would you get the machinery down to remove that cottage going down the other property line after the house is constructed? I'm trying to think of this less of the steep way to get access to that cottage. Any thought about how you're going to get equipment down to get rid of it?
Well, I mean, I think that they'd be able to crawl down that northerly sideline and get to it. There
The other
will be.
lot, through the other lot?
No, I think
Through theirs?
it'll actually, if it's through the other lot, I think that might happen, but it looks to me there could be enough room to squeak by on the lot side, but,
Where the house is?
yeah,
the new
we'd
house
have
is.
to make necessary arrangements with the other property owner to access that temporarily.
Anything going to happen with the runoff from the long extended gravel driveway? That's pretty steep going down that way. I expect a lot of water to come down.
Yeah, I mean, we put a couple of infiltration trenches. You see there's one to the north of the house by the walkway. It's intended to pick up some of that driveway drainage. And then there's a one along that southerly property line that's intended to pick some up as well. But I share that same concern with you on that the grading has to be done in a manner to ensure that that water is directed to those infiltration practices to prevent the water from flowing into the garage.
The water and the gravel flowing into the garage.
Yeah, I mean, if
That-
it's-
That's a pretty steep drop.
Yeah, and perhaps we change that material to a crushed stone as opposed to gravel. I mean, a crushed
Something a
stone.
little heavier.
Yeah, I think it might be a better choice. And if that's not a problem, we might do that and perhaps reflect it on the as-built on that material if that's suitable to the commission.
Any other questions? Anybody in the audience here to speak on this project? I'm seeing none.
Oh, there's one, actually.
Yes. Would you like to come up and please identify yourself, Mr. Lockwood, so they know who you are?
Since you already know who I am, Bill Lockwood, Lockwood Architects, one of our projects, and would like to speak in favor of it.
Thank you. All right, we have no other comments.
Motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Have a motion to close the hearing and a second. Someone take a stab at the order? Standard order of conditions with the comment regarding all the structures in the pond. Anybody want to try that one?
I move that we accept the project with the standard order of conditions and that all of the docking materials that are in the pond and on the bank be removed.
I think that covers it.
I'd say so.
That covers it. A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, we're 500. I guess removing the structures is sooner than later.
Okay?
Next one, please.
Yeah, this is a request of notice of intent for Al Harrington, GAF Engineering, 266 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to remove and replace a dock and clear brush to
Yes, sir.
create a path located on Assessors Map 6, Lot 6, 3236, Cranberry Highway, Wareham, Mass.
And please identify yourself as representing this project.
I'm Bill Madden from GAF on behalf of Al Harrington and Continental Marine in the filing before you.
All right, you're up.
Would,
Well,
I'm Al Harrington.
thank you.
I we've made a couple of minor modifications to the plan. I have these with me if you'd like them. The changes are relatively minor, just clarifications.
Are we seeing these for the first time?
Yes.
Yes, we are. But is it any, you said clarifications in what regard?
The regard is indicating some water depths that were inadvertently omitted from the plan where the floating dock is that we're proposing to permit. It's in that particular area.
You can pass it.
Yeah, I don't
That's
see,
That's not significant, so
Yeah.
you pass them out.
yep.
You can
Okay.
share, just don't trip on the wire.
Thank you. One's good, we'll share.
I don't need it.
If it's just, yeah, I will. Thank you, sir. Watch your footing. I'll just put it in.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, well, this is a little complicated, and I'll do the best I can to keep it short, but essentially, the project is that of creating C-Dock. C-Dock, as shown on this plan, currently is a floating dock with no finger piers on it. What we're proposing to do is retain that C-Dock in its location, reduce the width of it by a couple of feet, and provide 10 fingers, 3 by, I think they're, 16 or so, off of that floating dock. The provision that we're working under in this instance is there's a zone around the marina considered a zone of reconfiguration. And as part of these Chapter 91 license plans, we're seeking a reconfiguration zone around the entire marina. What that allows the applicant or the owner to do is to reconfigure the existing features within that boundary, provided that we don't exceed any of the square footage. You can't exceed the area of what existed, but you can rearrange things to better facilitate the use. So when you look at those plans, you'll see that there's a zone of reconfiguration that is shown around the marina. That's something we've talked with the Chapter 91 people about. They've indicated what they wanted on the plans. We've spent a fair amount of time with Chapter 91 trying to get all the licensing that's occurred over the years together and bring them under one license. So there's the other work that's associated with this filing with Chapter 91, but as part of that filing, we need to have an order of conditions from the Conservation Commission, just procedurally, and also to approve whatever work that we're proposing. So what we initially are proposing to do is take that C-Dock, remove it in its entirety, it's in need of repair, and replace it with one that's 6 feet wide as opposed to 8 with the same length. And then compensate for that reduction in the area and add those fingers for dockage. Primary reason to add the dockage is for transient features for the people that use the restaurant. You might recall I did the restaurant for Algonquin whenever it was 20 years ago or so. We obtained all the permitting and the licensing that enabled him to build that structure. One of the provisions was that we did need parking and that it could be considered a water-dependent use because of the nature of the marina and the use that was going to go on with the marina in the nexus with the restaurant. So that's just a little bit of a history behind where we were with that. So now we're seeking to rebuild C-Dock and add those fingers to it. As a portion of this work, there's a portion of this dock that's a floating dock, and the nature of that floating dock is to access the marine railway that runs from the concrete pad. You might all remember, maybe you don't, but that blue storage building for boat racks,
It's long gone.
long gone. It blew down in a storm event, and, it's been an insurance nightmare for Continental Marina. We're not certain how that's going to end up, but we always wanted to retain that railway, essentially because we could never get it permitted again. It's already been permitted through the Corps of Engineers and everybody else, so we want to retain that. It does have some value in the event someone wants to deal with that rack storage in that building in the future. So there's a portion of the floating dock, that 6-foot floating dock, that's needed to remain so that when somebody is transporting a boat down that railway on whatever device is used, that you can actually get into the boat from a floating dock and move it from that railway and into its desired location. I mean, years ago, when I kept a boat there, you'd call in, they would launch a boat for you down that railway. They would tie it up to the floating dock, and then you'd come down and use it. And I think that it operated in similar to that manner until the building was just destroyed by Mother Nature. So that's a reason why we have a portion of the floating dock, and the portion of the floating dock with the fingers on it, that was the area that I wanted some clarification on the plan with respect to water depths. The water depths at the outer end of that sea dock, approach 10 feet. I think they're actually at 10 feet, 8'9", 8'6", and get a little bit shallower as we move in toward the finger pier that's closest to the shoreline. So that's what's going on there with the marina. That's what our request is. We've been working on the project since, I don't know, over 20 years. And, your bylaws are pretty specific to residential docks. They don't really speak to detail required for commercial docks, but you might recall that the things that we've done at the other marinas in town, whether it be Onset Bay Marina, whether it's Stonebridge Marina or Point Independence Yacht Club, those are a few that we've dealt with, and we've done things that are very similar to this out there. But that's the primary project in front of you. There's other things that are shown on this plan, like the public access. There's information on this plan that indicates where public access is going to take place, the signage that's necessary by Chapter 91, and as part of being granted the permit to build the tiki bar, we were to provide that type of access. So now we're dealing with Chapter 91, trying to bring all these permits together, and that's kind of where we are. So these plans have a lot of information on them that aren't necessarily germane to what the 10 slips or the 10 finger piers, but I just wanted to point that out, that it's part of the reason why the plans are as informative and detailed as they are. But that's what I have on the 10 slips, and happy to answer any questions.
Josh, you're up.
As far as reducing the size of the sea dock to add the finger piers, are you net plus or minus?
We're net minus about 100 square feet, and I think the last sheet, second to the last sheet, indicates that we are proposing 1,425, we're proposing 1,320 feet, and what exists is 1,425.
Gotcha.
So we're reducing it.
And then in regards to the removal of vegetation, it's different on the new plan versus the old plan. The old plan showed the vegetation going, almost out to Cranberry Highway. Is it to keep most of that now?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's due to the relocation of the public access way.
Okay.
Now, instead of having it out by Cranberry Highway, which was required when we first did the job, they've now required us to move it closer to the waterfront.
Okay,
So we're just going to cut that shrubbery down at that corner
okay. Where the stairs are being reconstructed.
where the stairs are
Okay.
shown, yes.
Yeah, the zone of reconfiguration was interesting. I had to do a little research into that. But I see no issue as long as Chapter 91 approves.
Kwame, question.
No, I just had a question about the vegetation, but that was already answered. Thank you.
Michael?
Yes, when I was down there seemed to be like a little tractor and some other, maybe some other blocks so next to it. Has construction started on it, or anticipated to start very, very soon?
They're anxious to get started. I think the actual floating docks are probably constructed in, standing by to be installed, but that equipment, I think, is used down there right now to move around some of the floating docks that might be in the parking lot or stored on the site.
Okay, so that equipment that I saw down there, that is for the floating docks, something different then, or is that?
Boats, moving boats.
For moving boats and things of that
moving
nature.
boats.
That's a big fork truck.
Yeah, well, yeah, it
Big
seemed to be a
blue
little.
rusty-looking thing. That's to move boats and docks.
All right,
It's a big machine. It used to be in the valet service. It would go up 20 feet in the air and bring boats down and then launch them on the ramp.
okay, but construction hasn't not started yet, it's just sitting there, just waiting to be approved
The
and,
docks you see on the ground there are private docks from over in Butler's Cove, I believe. And then some of ours that at some point we want to put them in.
okay, thank you.
Carol?
No questions, thank you.
Nicole?
I just had one question. On the second to last page, it says there's an existing jet ski float. Are you getting rid of that entirely?
That's removed as well. That's
Okay.
to be removed, yes.
That was my only question.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Now, this rail is usable, right?
Yes,
And part of it is out of the water and part of it's in the water.
yes.
Now, with the new dock, what type of space is under the dock for access to the beach?
The access to the beach is actually by that walkway that's required, that's identified on the plan as public access. So you wouldn't necessarily have, what you're required to provide is access, you cannot interrupt the access of the general public in an intertidal zone. So what we have to do is we use our existing walkway that we have on the site, and people will have to get to the beach from the boat ramp on the east side, walk across in front of the parking lot on a walkway, walk around the tiki bar, there's walkway there as well, and then head a little further west on this stone path that is there, and then walk down those stairs that we show on the plan to gain access to the beach.
So they have to leave the beach, but they still have access?
Yes.
To get around it? Okay. These are all green heart piles?
They are green heart piles.
There are 3 piles in there now. Is that where the old floaters were attached, the pylons? You got a walkway, then you got 3 more pylons out into the water.
Yep.
Those are going to be used as part of this,
They're to be removed,
they are to be removed.
yes. And replaced with, I
And will
think
there
we
be-
show new ones to be
Will there be
replaced.
pylons on the end of the floaters, the finger piers?
There's going to be a single pile on the end of each finger pier, and 2 at the end of the floating dock, just by mean high water is shown where the little ramp is that goes down to the floating dock.
Okay.
So our ramp will fit between those piles.
Do we care about seagrass? We don't have a seagrass study. Would there be an issue with seagrass in here? Seagrass? That's Denise's.
Eelgrass.
Eelgrass, that's, okay. God,
Still
talk about-
seagrass.
yeah. Eelgrass. We don't have an eelgrass study. Should we have one?
We do not have one, but from what it looks like with the zone of reconfiguration, you would almost need the eelgrass survey off of that line, not the dock. Because with the zone of reconfiguration, he could basically put those docks wherever he wanted, correct?
Within
Right.
that,
Within that zone. I mean, I've been there for many years doing the work. We have not observed any eelgrass in that area.
boated out of that area.
Boated, I
You
boated,
have,
yes, yeah. And we have not observed it, and I think the water depths, as we get out into Buttermilk Bay, perhaps not that conducive to the habitat for eelgrass, but nevertheless, I think that the use of the area, you know, in the absence of it, is something that we would expect to continue, remain the way it is.
Okay. Al, any comments or questions or additions you'd like to? You're up. Anything you would like to add?
No, it's been a long ride for us. It's been 30 years, and we've had ups and downs, as most of you know. And just trying our best. The restaurant's doing super, and we're lucky to have the people that come there.
Yep, Captain Al's has got a good following.
It really does.
I had
And
to say the name of the restaurant. Is there anybody in the audience would like to comment on this project? I'm seeing none.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain, 500. Standard order of conditions?
Yep.
There's nothing special that we've added or anything like that?
I move that we accept the project with the standard order of conditions.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstain? Okay,
thank you so
you
much.
got us. Now you know you have to do something else.
Oh, yeah.
We do, just keep moving forward.
So your
Actually
paperwork,
don't need these, but I'm guessing you don't need them either, so.
Thanks very much for your time, much appreciated.
thank you. Wow, we've done 4. Next, please.
Moving right along.
Okay, this is request of notice of intent for Joseph Hashier. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how to say his last name, but JC Engineering, 285.
Thank you, sir.
2854 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, Mass. 02538, to construct a single-family dwelling with an in-ground pool, patio, driveway, and associated utilities located on Assessors Map 134, Lot 1039, 1 Johnson Street, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you.
Good e-
Please identify yourself representing the project.
Good evening, Brad Bertolo of JC Engineering, on behalf of the applicants. This project's located at 1 Johnson Street. Entails the construction of a single-family dwelling, pool, patio, and associated utilities, water, electric, sewer, on a currently existent vacant lot. This property did have approval at one time to build a smaller home on the southern portion closer to the pool, but the property owners decided to sell the property, and the current owner is looking to develop this piece. The property is located within a flood zone, AE 14. It's also adjacent to the Agawam River and its associated salt marsh and coastal bank. This Agawam River does have a 200-foot riverfront boundary associated with it, and those are delineated on the plan, kind of a purple or blue color. Blue, actually. The site also has a couple areas shown on plan. It's red and light pink, both on the right side of the plan. Those are mapped natural heritage priority and estimated habitat areas. So we laid out the site to eliminate any work within those areas and also to eliminate any work within the 200-foot riverfront area.
You squeezed it in there,
Yes.
literally.
It's a good-sized property, but about 50% of it is within riverfront. And it's just following past practices that this board and the prior agent had. If we can fit it outside it, we stay outside it. So we're using pretty much all the area outside. The black bold line that's on the plan is the erosion control barrier. As you can see on the southern end by the, not really the pool, but to the right side of the pool, just that small area is within 100 feet of the coastal bank. It's almost, the patio itself is about 90 feet. The hay bale is 77 feet. So very minimal amount of area within any physical resource area, except for the floodplain. There's very minimal grade changes proposed, just going to be a little bit of cut in the location of the house to put the crawl space foundation, a little bit of fill on the driveway side of the garage. Current grades by the garage are about 13. We're proposing 14 to 14 and a half right at the house, so at most about 1.5 feet in that location. And it's a little closer to 2 feet in front of the front door of the house, which is the 32-foot box, wide box at the southern half of the structure. Utilities, like I mentioned, are town sewer. This development was included with either the last
Oakdale.
one or the
Oakdale.
Oakdale. Might not have been the last contract, but the contract prior, most recent install. This portion of Johnson Street is low-pressure force main, so we are proposing a grinder pump, that'll tie into the force main that's within Johnson Street. I think it pretty much covers it. As you see, I mean, most of the site that's being developed will be altered. The remaining site will stay in its existing conditions as it is today.
Anything else?
I think that covers it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
We'll start with Josh.
No, I have no concerns with this.
I'm going to go Carol.
No questions.
Nicole?
Where it says proposed utility enclosure, what are the 4 little boxes inside of that square?
I'm anticipating they're probably like air conditioning condensers,
Okay.
but is that a? Yes.
Makes sense. Okay, that's all.
Michael? This is the one with the pool.
Yeah, now I can ask the question.
I've been waiting for this question.
Okay, I'm looking at that, just at the proposed in-ground pool here. Is that the top right-hand corner, is that just a little too close to the coastal bank offset? Or just a tad over it? I'm just looking
The
at
pool
that.
itself, yes, is within the 100-foot buffer zone of the coastal bank. The hay bale line extends as close as 77 feet. But
I'm-
under the local bylaws, 30 foot is the minimum no-touch buffer, and we're over double that.
I was just curious if that could be like moved back like just a hair or so. I'm just curious, that's,
If that's, I mean, it's only a foot or two, I could slide it to be
that would just be my only-
outside. I mean, the patio does go into it, but the grading in that area is staying pretty much the same, it's pretty level.
That would just be my only concern, it's just it's a little over, but other than that, that's all. That-
Kwame?
That would be my only concern, thank you.
No questions, thanks.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, my turn. That patio, solid patio, right? From the front, from the house on the water side, all the way around the pool is a solid patio or pavers? Pavers? Reading that right, is that
I called for a proposed paver patio, not like,
paver,
yep,
which means it is pervious.
should be, yeah. It'd be,
Depends on how tight the ground support
depends on how you
is.
construct it, but yes.
But it goes from the Josh, can you outline that, yeah, there, all the way down, and around the pool, and back up to the house? That's all the pavers for the
Correct.
patio?
Correct.
So even if you move the pool, the patio's still within, okay. Now, where is the driveway?
The driveway's,
That, okay,
yep, single lane, and then it, I think we pretty much have like one parking spot towards the right of the cursor, and then they can turn into the garage, which would be all to the left.
It's this like
Yeah,
green line here.
That green line.
green line is the proposed driveway. What's the material? I can't read it on mine.
It's paved.
It's paved.
Proposed to be paved.
Okay, how many dry wells do we have on this property?
0.
Well, guess what? You're gonna be I'm gonna ask you to put in some dry wells or some drainage components for the structure.
That's fine. I could show that on the plan.
And, sorry, I'm putting on my sewer hat. I went down, and you know we have a moratorium on sewer connection, and I could not find that property listed as an undeveloped piece of land permitted in the Oakdale. I went back and I find an email that you sent to, you got from Guy, that this was approved in 2017. So even though it's not listed on our not yet developed it, Guy says it was approved, so you're within the,
He,
it was approved before the moratorium was set in,
yes,
with the grinder pump.
he did yes, he did that was the one thing that kind of held us up, because we were waiting for confirmation from him before we moved forward with sewer or septic, and
'Cause I went
he is authorizing this property since it was already approved.
I went through all my minutes from 2017 and 18 and couldn't find it, so I went to Guy and he said it was done, so,
Yep.
okay. I can now take off my sewer hat. I think that was, the dry wells was the only thing I noticed, and it just making sure that we realize that there is a very large piece of this property that will be paved to support the activity around the pool. Where's the equipment for the pool house? It must be in there someplace for the pump and everything. It's on the pavers, maybe?
We haven't picked a spot for that, but
Be on
if
the
it's,
pavers, more than likely. All right, here's a question. How are you going to fill the pool and how are you going to empty the pool?
typical with most projects like this, we always recommend that due to the close nature of the resource areas, any maintenance requires it to be pumped off-site by tanker truck, maintenance performed, and then refilled by bringing water back in. That is a kind of a standard.
I know, and I wanted to make sure that get into the order
Yeah.
of conditions, that this is not coming from town water.
No.
This will be a pump in and a pump out.
Yeah.
Remove
No discharge on.
no discharge.
no,
I just wanted to make
dispose,
sure it was
yeah.
clean. I think that does it for me. Is there anybody that'd like to speak to this project? Mr. Lockwood, I know you're going to say, I support this.
My project, I support.
Thank you. All right. Ready to close?
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor to close the
Aye.
hearing? Aye.
Aye.
500, the hearing is closed. Someone wants to take the order of conditions? I think we really just have two.
And that would be the dry wells.
The addition of the dry wells to the plan. We'll probably approve this tonight, knowing that you're going to give us an adjustment for the dry wells.
Revised one, for the like roof gutters? Or
Yeah.
for the,
Dry wells.
to capture the
retention-
roof
Yes.
runoff? Okay.
Yeah, I call them dry wells, well, whatever you refer to them. I don't want that water running off into the site, coming off that roof. And the water in the pool.
Okay. I move that we accept this project with the standard orders of conditions to include adequate dry wells
Is that
for
sufficient
the
for
roof
you, Brad?
runoff
Yes.
Okay,
and that the pool must be pumped in and pumped out, no discharge into the resource area.
I think that covers it. Josh? Yep.
Yep.
So that's the motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstains, you're done.
Thank you very much.
Nothing gets done until you get your paperwork. Next one, please.
Okay, let's see, let me get organized here. Okay, this is the request for, notice of intent for Pinehurst Beach Association, David R. Moore, 54 Flag Street, Bridgewater, Mass. 02324, to repair an existing stone jetty at the intersection of Beach Road and Broad Marsh River, located on Assessors Map 46, Lot 1000, end of Beach Road, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you, and who represents this project?
I'm representing David Moore, trustee of the Pinehurst Beach Improvement Association.
I'm John Spink, Middleborough Design.
And I'm Kathleen Manson, president of the Pinehurst Beach Improvement Association.
All right, talk to us about this project.
Well, there was a jetty once. The problem that has been occurring is that they did a rebuild of the wall. Is everybody familiar with the site, or shall I go through that site
Well,
description?
we had a chance to visit it. Did everybody at least try to get down there and take a look at it?
I did
guess-
not get to
yep.
visit it.
Yeah. It's a, I'm not going to say ancient, but quite an old site for beach access. And they, in the last few years, they've rebuilt the retaining wall along the front of the riverfront, and they have replenished the sand. And over the last few years, the sand has been moved by the flow of the river, and it's starting to undercut the bank and the wall again. There was a previous jetty on the site. We have pictures of it back to the 74 that was there. The previous jetty was to the elevation of the high water. The now, do you have a picture of that jetty that you could put up there?
I cannot pull it up, no. I
Oh, dear.
have no access to the
Hang on a
server
second.
here.
Let's see if I, whoop, I dropped all of that, that's good. Let me give you,
Do we have the green cards?
yes, I just dropped them on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Got the receipts and the green cards.
So when was that jetty built? You're telling me mid-'70s? Or did it exist before that?
No.
We have a picture from the mid-'70s. We have
Watch the wires.
Yep.
we have a government map that shows it in the early '80s on the mapping. But we don't, some of the old timers say that it's been there, the association started in 1922. And walls started going in after that, so we can't say exactly when. I can remember it from the 1950s, but I'm not one of the old timers.
I don't remember it. I used to, sorry, this was the only
That's why
place to
you're here.
swim at low
I
tide.
don't want you to trip.
So we all came out, and I'm all set, thank you. Okay. So, John, you want to continue?
Yes. What is going on is that.
I need you to get to the microphone. Okay, thank you.
The dynamics of the process are that it's tidal, and the two rivers come together. So the flow is kind of mixed. On the in tide, it goes
up against that bank, and the jetty used to stop the flow inwards, or at least inhibit it, up to the high tide. And right now, the height of the jetty is now much lower than it was previously, at least on that previous picture in '74. And so we're getting, as you can see on the, look at the, you get kind of a little cut on the upriver side of the jetty where the flow on high tide comes over the jetty and drops down and starts to move the sand out and around, okay? Coming in, when the tide goes out, the sand moves in the other direction. All of this sand is now upriver and Ware River, about 200 feet, and some of it's have been taken out into the river. But it keeps eroding this particular area, and that's where the end of the steps are for the road there and along that jetty. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to reconstruct that jetty to basically stop that dynamic flow, causing that to dig out and remove the sand. So we're trying to replace an existing jetty. We're trying to bring it back to basically where it was, basically the high point of that high tide, so it doesn't flow over and create kind of a waterfall effect, and perhaps stop as much of the sand movement as we can get it to sand, so they don't have to replenish it every little bit.
Okay, anything else? I'm going to ask Josh to speak if you have nothing else to add.
I'd just like to say in the probably the 30 years that I've owned property down there, when I first came down, the sand was covering all of those steps that you saw that are in such terrible condition, within about a foot of the top of those steps. So the erosion has gotten so bad, we lost our wall, at the association. Other people downstream have had trouble with erosion. Upstream, just to the left of the beach road, there's probably about 3 feet of sand, 2 to 3 feet of sand that has moved. It's gone, and they're experiencing some serious erosion. So you've seen what's happened to the steps. Those town-owned. We offered to replace them, and Guy said that he's got some sewer work coming in there in the next couple of years, so he doesn't want to do anything with the steps at this point. But they continue to erode, storms, the water comes up Beach Road, and it's washing away more of it. So hopefully this will help with that problem.
Okay, Josh?
So I have a few concerns that will probably require a continuance for tonight. I looked on the Mass DEP website, and it appears that there's no DEP file number for this. Have you received anything?
You haven't got it yet?
We haven't received it. Callie, I can't remember her last name.
Callie Harper is the one
Callie
who works
Harper.
for the department. It looked like she reached out to you on 2 occasions in March and in July requesting more information.
Yes, and we submitted that information about a week ago,
Okay.
and we're waiting for that number.
So, yep, as long as we don't have a DEP number, we can't make a decision.
We understand.
I imagine that she is going to say something about the Chapter 91 waterway license. So that's another process you'll be involved in. It appears to me that you need written permission from the homeowner at 110 Pinehurst Drive. Although there is language in the Wetlands Protection Act that says you can do work within the mean high water, your planned depictions show it attaching to her seawall.
We've had discussions with her concerning that.
Okay, so before we could issue any type of determination, we would need something in writing from her.
What's that address?
110 Pinehurst Drive. Do you have a certified list of the abutters that were notified?
Yes.
If you can get me a copy of that, it doesn't have to be tonight, but, because I'm recommending, I mean, you have to continue, so if you want to email it, that's fine. And I know one of the things that she requested was a site plan showing the resource areas, which it sounds like you sent to her, Callie Harper, yep. Those are my concerns for the project. I have nothing else to add.
Kwame?
No questions, I'll wait for the continuance. Thank you.
Michael?
Like Kwame, I'll wait for the continuous, thank you.
Carol?
No questions at this time?
Nicole?
No questions, thank you.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
There's some awful big rocks there that seems to be, what, coming from the town's quote-unquote stairs? Will they stay there? They seem to be at the top of your proposed jetty.
At the foot of the stairs?
Yes.
We hadn't planned to do anything with them, but I think that's part of the stairs breaking up.
Yes, I'm thinking
Yeah.
that, so they will stay where they are. Now, this jetty will be increased how much further out from where it is right now?
Approximately another 12 feet, maybe?
Extended another 12 feet?
Yeah, we're trying to get out past that low water mark. Or not past it, but to it.
And if this is done, will you be asking for a beach nourishment?
I believe we will. We've already discussed that with DEP with our last beach nourishment, and they didn't have a problem with it, but we have to go through you.
And this beach nourishment will be on all the property associated with Pinehurst Beach Association?
No. The property of Pinehurst goes all the way around.
It does.
Okay, so the nourishment is not going to, I don't believe, go up around into,
Well, I'm more concerned, will it be on both sides of the jetty or just on the side closest to your clubhouse? I'm just thinking that type of, because there's been a lot of sand lost on the
East side of it,
east
yeah.
side of that jetty.
yes, that's
Will
correct.
that also be replenished?
We haven't seen the numbers for the total part of it yet. We're hoping that some of the sand will come back naturally, but we'll do whatever we have to do to supplement the work on the jetty. If it's required that we do it on both sides of the jetty, then we have to take that into consideration, definitely, for the project.
Because there is grass on the other side of that jetty.
Along the 110,
Yeah, on the east side, there is vegetation.
yeah, appears to be, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this project? Because we are going to be continuing it, but you have something you'd like to? Yes. Please come forward and identify yourself. I need you to get to a microphone.
This one?
Good evening, Madam Chair. Elizabeth Lyden. I am an attorney representing 110 Pinehurst Drive. I am speaking on behalf of the homeowner who actually has not been approached about this project. She requested to speak to them and was denied that opportunity. We are asking to at least be able to see plans, and if the jetty or the if it's going to be attached to her wall, they'll need an easement and an access agreement to do the work. So we would request, I know that you already said that you're recommending a continuance, but we would also recommend a continuance for this reason.
Is she on the abutter list?
Yes.
Okay, so she's been,
It's her seawall that they're proposing to attach
Right,
to.
yeah, it looks like it was sent to 396 Washington Street, Wellesley, Mass. Is that an address for you?
Yes, was it sent certified?
Yes. It looks,
okay.
yeah.
So we are going to continue. The requirement is that there be some approval, there must be approval by the homeowner of 110 Pinehurst to abut her property.
To
So
attach to
They're going to
it.
be talking to you, or they better be. Okay.
Thank you.
Liz. Anybody else? If not, we're going to continue. Yes, John.
Just to make a comment, I did spend quite a bit of time talking with her several weeks ago.
Several weeks ago, okay. So we are going to request a continuance until, what's the next meeting?
March 1st.
That's sufficient, yeah, that's enough time, March 1st is sufficient for, okay, so, somebody?
Make a motion to request.
No, we're
the
going to
March 1st.
continue the hearing until, I need a motion to continue the hearing until March 1st.
Okay, motion to continue the hearing until March 1st, 2023?
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500, we're continue until March 1st. Now we're on to our continued hearings. Timothy Skidar from 241 Blackmore Pond Road.
Thank you.
Getting hit, that's what it is, that's a warning shot. Did they need the pictures back?
Oh, we
Thank you,
finally
sir.
have green cards.
That's fine, I'll just take all of them. Thank you.
And did you want us to keep the file for the last one? So we have them.
Okay.
What's that?
And who's here representing this project?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Okay,
My name's Tim Sigard. I'm the builder. Michael Cloutier, and I'm the homeowner with my wife in the audience.
all right. Talk to us about the project, please.
We're proposing to build a freestanding garage, which is going to be used as a hobbyist wood shop. It'd be 24 by 30 feet. There'd be a lean-to on the north side of it. The access way coming off of Black Pond Road would be level into the slab of the garage. The roof water would be collected in dry wells. The placement was maintaining the 50-foot setback from the street, and we just tried to fit it in there as best we could. There's going to be, we'd like to remove some of the trees to the south side of the building so that we can utilize that for solar collection on the roof of the structure.
And that south side is not in any wetlands, is it?
No.
Been out to this property before. We moved trees from behind the house because they were concerned about, was
And-
that,
And there was one that they didn't allow removal, and it almost hit our brand-new generator.
okay. All right, anything else? Hey, Josh?
Open for questions.
Yep, so this was continuance from our last hearing requiring abutter notifications. We have since received them. I would recommend a -3 with the one condition that I go out and look at the trees that are proposed to be removed before you remove them.
They're all marked, Josh.
Okay.
And we also continue because it wasn't marked,
It
wasn't
is
staked
since-
out, and it's now been staked out.
Yes, and the
Correct.
proposed driveway area has been marked as well.
Great. All right. Kwame, any questions?
No questions,
Michael.
thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Carol?
No questions?
Cole?
No, thank you.
Autumn?
No questions?
I have none. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to this project? I'm seeing none.
I move that we close the hearing.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the hearing is closed.
I move that we accept this project with a negative determination number 3 with the, what was the condition, the trees?
I just want to look at the trees before they are removed.
And that Josh be able to look at the trees before they are removed?
Yep.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. So let Josh take a look at what you want to take down and wait for the rest of the paperwork before you can start the project, but it's approved.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Enjoy your workshop.
Thank you.
Maybe he can make these plans for the park.
I have one like that, though. Sweet.
John Hauser, 12 Widow Cove Lane. This is the gazebo that wasn't marked.
Correct.
Okay. Please identify yourself.
I'm Joe Abley. I'm the contractor.
Okay. Talk to us about the project.
We have the,
Watch the wires.
Sir.
so they were looking, last we were here, you were looking to have the pavilion staked. We had gone down and done that, and I had spoken to the homeowner in regards to, there was a shed that he had had.
And it wasn't on the plan.
It was not on the plan, no. He said that, I had mentioned to him that they're probably concerned that whether a permit or whatever was obtained for it. He said that he had hired the contractor, what, I'm not gonna mention names, and he assumed that that was all taken care of.
Okay, but we're here about the pavilion.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
There was a concern with that, so I just.
Yeah, I was surprised to find the shed there because it wasn't there last time I was on the property, so, and it wasn't on the plan, but that, Josh?
yeah, my concern was that it just wasn't on the plan. I mean, I wasn't concerned about permits or not. But it was already constructed over in an altered area. I believe that part of the property was pervious from the start. So I just wanted to see it on a plan. That's about it. Again, we continued this for that not being on the plan and for
Notification of
the
the
notification of the butters. So, again, I would like to see the shed on a plan.
I have, can I hand some to you?
Yeah.
Yep.
You can just pass it to Josh,
Yep.
and he'll put
Yep.
it in the
Thank
master folder.
Yep. So, perfect. So with that being my only concern, I would recommend the issuance of a -2 determination.
Anybody in the audience wishing to speak to, questions?
Yep.
Nicole,
No questions,
Carol.
thank you.
No questions.
Michael,
None?
Kwame,
No questions, thank you.
Autumn.
No questions.
Anybody in the audience? I'm seeing none.
Move to close the hearing?
Yep.
Second?
I have a motion to close the hearing and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the hearing is closed.
Thank you.
Nope, we just closed the hearing. Now we're going to, someone make a motion, negative.
I move that we accept the project with a negative determination number 2.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. It is accepted. And so Josie, make sure you get the paperwork from Josh before you start anything.
All right,
Okay,
perfect.
thank
Thank you so much.
Tried to beat to it on
Next
that one,
one.
Carol.
Ann and
That's
Joanne
an easy one.
Guerrera.
Don't go too far.
Back again.
As a quick.
Please identify yourself to represent this project.
My name is Joe Abley. I'm the contractor for the project.
Okay, you have your green cards?
Yes, I do.
And then you can talk to us about about the project.
We're proposing a two-car garage to the existing house. I know that there was concerns prior with the bales of hay from it's a brand-new home, so it's pretty beaten up. So I had gone down, staked the project, had taken measurements for the rebuild of hays, bales of hay. I'm not exactly sure how far you want that. I know that the bills are for the entire project, for the home. I didn't know if you wanted it just in the back corner, how far you wanted to go with it. We are putting in a well for that.
Runoff, for the roof runoff, thank you.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, so looking at the plan, I'd say at least if you went in line with the corner of the house, somewhere up here.
All right.
And then I think the wetlands come down this way, so.
On the corner, yep.
Because there's not much of a slope on that property, but there
pretty
is a
flat.
slight one, yeah.
Yeah.
So my recommendation for this project would be a -3 with the condition that the hay bale line be reconstructed. And if you could give me an updated plan on where the dry well is located.
All right, yep.
Kwame,
No questions, thank you.
Michael,
No questions, thank you.
Carol,
No questions.
Nicole,
No questions?
Autumn.
No questions.
Anybody in the audience would like to speak to this project? I'm seeing none.
Motion to close the hearing?
Yep.
Second?
I have a motion to close the hearing and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Hearing's closed. Now, I need a motion.
Motion to accept the project with a negative determination number 3, and the
Hay
condition
bale.
that the hay bale line be replaced,
Reconstructed, yep.
reconstructed, and that the dry wells be added to the plan.
That's the motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Same thing. Get your paperwork from Josh and don't start the project until you get it, okay?
Perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. You all have a wonderful night.
You too.
Next one, Stephen
Oh,
Herbert,
yes, I remember this one.
131 Atwood Way. Okey dokey.
I'm Stephen Holbert, the property owner. I'm Frank Westgate, the surveyor.
All right. The butters have been notified? Do you have your
I
blue?
didn't get any, I notified 4 of them and sent the thing to, I think it was Lakeville, but I didn't get any of the green cards
You
back.
have the notification?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That means you made
I'd
the
go that
attempt.
way, yeah.
Watch the wires. And that you are going to go out and stake the second trench, which has been done.
Yep.
Okay. Frank, Steve who wants to talk to us about what we're here for.
Oh, well, it was a continuation of the last hearing,
Yes.
right? And we proposed to fill the trench on the right, the elongated one, and also a portion of the other one that's more of a hole than a trench, as shown on that plan. And we're going to bring it up to grade so that there's room for parking and turning around.
All right. And it has been staked. Josh?
Yep, so this was another continued because of a butter notification. And at the last hearing, this new plan was presented to us. The plan that was presented before did not include trench number 2. I'll leave it up to the commission on how they want to decide on trench number 2. But the original scope of work was just for trench number 1.
Okay. Questions? Kwame?
I really don't have a problem with trench number 2, so,
Or 1?
oh, 1. So I would like to see this go forward. Thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Carol?
No questions?
Nicole?
No questions?
Autumn?
No questions.
Okay, trench number 2. You have a flow in and a flow out, but there is another pipe in that trench. Do you plan, at what point do you plan to put up, how will you fill in that trench 2? You put in a concrete slab or something?
Vertical slab. Right, correct.
Before covering that old trench, there's a pipe in the middle of that trench 2.
That's staying there.
That's staying there, so you're filling closer.
To the right of that pipe.
Okay, so I can see the pipe indicated on the plan, so you're going to the right of that, filling it, putting up concrete and filling behind it.
Yes.
And it's staked on the ground. We
Yes, I-
flagged the whole thing.
But when it was staked, it was not clear whether or not it included that outflow, and you just answered the question.
Yes, it's, when he restaked that with the orange flags, they restaked that so you could see that it was going across the middle.
Okay. But the flow coming in will go out where it is right now, it just, yeah, okay.
Yes.
And the only reason you're filling this in for make an easier turnaround,
It's going to
Or-
keep people from maybe flipping their car or their trailer. It's kind of in an awkward spot. It's a very tight, trying to get in and around that.
and what will you fill trench 1 and trench 2 in with?
Just ordinary borrow, right?
Yeah.
What material?
What do you got, gravel?
I have gravel at the pit and soil.
He's got gravel and sand that he used for the cranberry bogs, and he's got a ton of it over there.
So the sand will be enough to filter down between the gravel and be,
Yes, to fill it and
fill in the,
compact it.
okay. We went around with questions, or did I?
Yep.
I have a question now, though.
Okay.
Once you've filled in both of the trenches, are you going to put soil on top and plant grass, or is it going to stay dirt?
Be 12 inches of compacted gravel on the top.
Okay.
And then he may or may not pave it.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
thinking about
We
that.
haven't talked about paving,
I'm not paying.
because you're up against wetlands.
Okay, all right,
Okay, Frank, no paving,
all right.
because that whole area is just solid.
How much that would cost to
dirt.
pave?
Well, when I
I'm not
say
as-
pave, I'm talking about maybe oil penetration, just like the remainder of the parking lot. So it'll be all in all uniform. That was my thought. Not regular.
I'm good with,
not
I'm good with just
asphalt.
filling it in.
No asphalt, no.
Okay.
No.
Or oil, or anything else like that. It'll just be like everything else in that turnaround area in front of the garage.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody in audience speaking for this one? I'm seeing none. Negative?
I'm gonna say a negative.
Oh, no, we're, yeah, negative what?
Yeah, I'm gonna say a -3 to add the addition of trench 2, just because I don't think it was included with the RDA application. So, at least then it will be on the paperwork.
Yeah, I inadvertently crossed it off.
Yeah, you
Right,
filled it
right.
in.
I misunderstood.
Yep, so, with the -3, we'll add the condition that it includes trench 2.
Thank you.
Okay,
Motion to close the hearing?
yep.
Second.
Motion to close the hearing in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the hearing is closed.
Motion to approve this project with a negative determination number 3 to include the second trench.
Second.
Yep, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, it's done. Thank you. No work done until you get your paperwork from Josh, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next hearing is Corky at 10, 14, and 16 River Terrace. They have asked for a continuance.
I move that we continue to March 1st.
Yes,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstains, we're continued until 3/1. Scott Green, 17 Murphy Street. Okay, now.
Yeah.
This project first came before us when I had red hair. I'm looking for the date of the first hearing. April 20th, 2022. And who's here representing this project?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's Attorney Jillian Morton, 184 Main Street. And we have Scott Green, the applicant. We also have Mike Ball, who is a scientist and a plant biologist, who submitted a letter to you as well, so ask him to present as well. Would you like me to start?
Yes, please.
Sure. So this project has been around since last year. I was first involved when we obtained a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and then obviously knowing that we needed to come in front of you all for this project. The prior conservation agent had some concerns, and then obviously he has since left us, and we've been working with Josh to be able to submit something to you with real details on the plan. One of the major concerns was the coastal dunes and how close this project is, and how the work would be completed with the 30-foot no-touch zone. So what we try to do is be able to present real factual information on how this does meet the standards within the bylaws and the DEP standards. So at this point, I think I might turn it over to Mike, since he submitted. He's the expert here, just the attorney. So go
Who's
ahead,
missing
Mike.
a pretty good dinner tonight to be here?
Good evening. Jillian introduced me. Thank you. My name is Mike Ball. My company is Marsh Matters Environmental. I'm a wetland scientist and regulatory compliance consultant out of Sandwich. I do a lot of wetland work, mostly delineations and identification of resource areas for JC Engineering. So Mike Pimentel, who you know, who's the engineer on this project, he asked that I review all the information that's been submitted in addition to the plans, their notice of intent, review the information that Dave Pichette, who I've known since he and I started around the same time in this field, obviously on the consulting side and on the regulatory side, and I do respect Dave very much. It's kind of sad to see him go. So I was asked to go out and take a look at the site, which I've done on 2 occasions, really take a good look at the performance standards, really as objectively as I could. And so what I produced for you is a letter that basically describes my project understanding, my assessment of the existing conditions, and then kind of an opinion on what the regulatory compliance aspects of the project are. I do, when I'm working in coastal resource areas for projects, I very much rely on CZM's guide. They're applying the Mass Coastal Wetland Regulations. It's that practical manual that CZM put out in 2017. And that manual, if you've seen it, does a really nice job of laying out not only a description of how you identify resource areas, which I think this project has done accurately. I don't think we're here to dispute the boundaries, but how projects must be designed in order to meet the regulatory compliance standards, specifically the performance standards. So our 2 closest resource areas, other than the land subject to coastal storm flowage, are the low-profile coastal bank, which is on the west side of the project area, and the coastal dune, which is a low-volume, low-profile coastal feature on the south side of the project area. Coastal bank performance standards are relatively easy to address. Most coastal banks are significant to storm damage prevention and flood control. As long as you're not altering the bank, usually you're meeting those performance standards. This is a very stabilized, low-profile feature. I don't think that there's a question about whether or not the performance standards for bank are met, particularly since the 30-foot buffer is maintained in accordance with your bylaw. Coastal dune, also another low-profile feature where the project is meeting the 30-foot no touch, other than the restorative element, which is removal of that old foundation that you see on the south corner of the project area right there. So when you're looking at coastal dunes, you have to think about the critical characteristics. As I explained in my letter, I do believe that this project, given its proximity to the resource area, does meet the 6 critical characteristics. You have to be cognizant of the ability to erode in response to coastal beach conditions. This project would meet that standard. You have to be cognizant of dune volume. This project is not in the dune like you often see along the coast. You see houses that are built in the actual dune. This project is not one of those. So dune volume is not affected. Dune form, similarly, it must be allowed to be changed by wind and natural water flows. Now, I know one would think, all right, well, we've got a project footprint that's landward of a coastal dune. In 100 years, couldn't that dune move by wave action or wind in a northerly direction? That's not what the standard is looking to protect. So if this project were actually proposing to put a wall or some other barrier in the dune itself, that standard would not be met because you're not allowing that dune, that sand material to move landward or seaward. So I think in terms of the dune mobility, the project meets that standard. Vegetative cover, this is I would say almost 100% vegetative cover. Mostly beach grass. There is some black locust it might be honey locust that's creeping in onto that dune. There are a lot of invasive species on this site, and that's one of those trees that's made its way onto the dune. As I mentioned, the project does stay 30 feet away from the dune, so vegetative cover is maintained. The ability of the dune to continue serving as bird nesting habitat. Now, we do have a natural heritage identified priority habitat. My understanding is they did respond in writing that the project does not constitute a take of the project, so we're not dealing with rare species issues here. That is pretty much a summary of my opinion. Like I said, I've been to the site twice. I have a good list of plants that I saw, both native and invasive, and I'd very much be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Julian? Scott, you want to add anything before I turn it over to Josh?
No.
Okay.
So as you can imagine, there's a lot of conversations about this project that happened prior to my arrival, so forgive me if I am repeating questions that have already been answered in the past. On the plan, I see the 30-foot salt marsh line here, but I also see a no activity zone. Is that depicted as our normal 30-foot, just extended?
Yes,
Okay.
that's my understanding.
We have Mike, who's he's sick today, but
I
Brad,
was
if I'm
wondering,
yeah, he's unable, he's ill, so Brad is here to
Gotcha.
just confirm.
And like I said, this may have already been brought up in the past, but just for my understanding.
Again, Brad Bertolo with JC Engineering. Looking at the plan, I believe the red line that's delineated with the 30-foot, that's your 30-foot, that shallow coastal bank. So that's the nearest resource area to the house.
Interesting. Regardless, as whether it be an addition or, something required, that answers my question. Moving on the plan, it's you talk about the revegetation within the 30-foot buffer zone to the coastal bank in approximately 1,600 square feet. Is that just where the old foundation is? The foundation seems a little bit small to equal that number.
You know where the old foundation is? I do know that would be taken away and it would be native species to go there. I guess we'd have to ask Mike.
Right, yeah.
Talking about the calculation, correct?
Yeah.
And it's a little different.
I guess what I'm getting at is if we could have that 1,600 square feet added to the plan, just so we know exactly where it is.
Where it is,
Because like I
okay.
said, the foundation looks smaller than 1,600 square feet, so.
If I can just, may I add just a detail on the removal?
Sure.
When we were at the site, Mr. Green, who's here, he would kind of step me through, for my benefit, to give me an understanding of how that foundation would be removed. You would need heavy equipment, but he has an excavator that's got an arm and it's got a thumb. If you've ever seen one of those thumbs that connects to a bucket, it's basically a way to just kind of pick up a piece of concrete or stone and just move it. So this is not a situation where they would be using a loader or something where you would actually clear that area. You're basically plucking out the pieces of concrete, swinging that arm over to the road, dumping it, coming back, getting the next one. And I think really the disturbance would be just to that foundation itself, because I don't have a great picture of it, but inside that foundation is very well vegetated already with beach grass. And so when you pull these pieces out, there is going to be some exposed sand. And we would just be taking beach grass and just planting plugs of beach grass into the disturbed sand.
Is there a foundation under that sand, or are we just looking at the retaining walls and steps that remain?
It's just walls. There's no slab.
A
There's no
machine,
slab.
I'll be able to reach over, so it'll be minimal disturbance to pluck them out.
We're just talking about the wall and the steps that are there. We're not, there's nothing underneath.
Nothing underneath that I could see.
Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. So I would agree that it meets the performance standards. What I would like to see is the revegetation marked on the plan. And I would also like to see what the commission has done in the past would be a 30-foot, or the 30-foot limit of work, and have that marked with some type of bounds, whether it be split rail fence or,
Fencing all over the place. Yep.
I guess I didn't have to say it then. Other than that, you know, I would agree that the standards are met and that we should move to approve with conditions.
Okay. Kwame?
Just looking at the plans, and I'm not sure if this is all in detail or not, but where's the capture for any, like, you know, what Sandy would say, dry wells?
Yeah, it's a little hard to see. If I can step for the
And those are little squares?
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that's red, but
So it's like 1, 2, yep, yep.
pair there, and
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the thing I was looking at. It was like 2 arch, 36 plastic chambers. I figured that that's what it was, but that was my only question. Thank you.
Michael?
Okay. Refresh my memory, this house is on stilts, correct?
Yes.
That's
Yep.
all, thank you.
It's VE 18 and 20, so we're talking really up there.
Yeah, we actually when we went through the zoning board, and this is just something for the information on the board, we're actually we moved over, the original plan that we got approved through the zoning board wasn't so close to the road there, right? So if you do choose to approve this, I'm going back to the zoning board to ask for a minor modification because of the importance of moving this house away from the coastal bank. So,
Because right now it's 7 feet from the road.
right, so we had it conforming, I think it was 10 feet.
Yeah, 10
Right, so I'm going to ask for a 3-foot minor modification. I mean, that's the importance of us trying to do the right thing and get as far as away from the resource areas that we can.
So you do have zoning approval?
We do have a zoning variance, correct. So I would go back for a minor modification if they saw it was major or minor, and then,
Sorry, I interrupted, Michael. Anything?
No, I actually said that was all, and then you started talking, so you did
No,
not
I
interrupt at all.
I'm sorry. All right.
Maybe you started asking questions yourself, I don't know.
Carol?
Yes, I do have a question on the plantings. You're going to be putting in native plants.
Native.
Will you be removing the invasives?
I don't think
Ask
that
the
detail is
biologist.
provided, but that certainly could be conditioned. That's a common condition in doing
I mean,
restoration.
if you can eradicate what you have for invasives, I think it would be a really good idea.
All right.
Sorry.
But can we add that to the conditions? I mean, I would really like to see less invasives.
Most of those trees that are in front of the house are invasive, or locusts, aren't they?
The locusts are, yeah.
Means all the trees inside that foundation is invasive.
Correct.
So that goes so what you're gonna do by removing the invasive locusts, you're gonna remove all the trees between the house and the water, virtually.
If the work is contained to the foundation itself, there's locust on that dune and in the dune buffer zone that's outside the work limit, so not all the trees would be removed, unless you required the removal.
No, so when we talk about.
Okay, they're not planting, they're not like bittersweet, it
It's
is
the-
trees.
The trees
That's
are
both.
invasive, there are,
There's a lot, in fact, inside that foundation, it's basically bittersweet, multiflora rose, and locust.
And a locust is a tree.
is a tree. See, trees inside the foundation. So we could say that the invasives, including the trees in the foundation, are to be removed, and that we can talk about what we want to do about the vines that are invasive as opposed to the trees.
All right.
But okay.
Yeah, I like, the invasive, when we talk about invasives, I think of the strangulation of
Yep.
so many trees with the bittersweet. It's so
But-
bad up here.
They got the big issue with the trees that have come where they shouldn't be, but, okay, Nicole?
No questions, thank you.
If I may for a second.
Yep.
I think what may help the project is if you condition the removal of the invasive trees within the old foundation. That would give Mr. Green the ability to remove that foundation more effectively. And we could condition that those trees be replanted with native trees that would have a good survivability there.
I like that.
Would the commission allow removal of locust that's outside the work limit in the interest of invasive species control? Just, if you're moving just a little bit, I mean,
Well, my concern is that some of that locust is in the dune, so if you disturb it, you're gonna disturb the dune,
right,
and that's a concern.
Right. It's not like you can just take a tree and plant, a 30-foot tree.
my suggestion would be to just flush cut the tree and leave the stump, so you basically have a much smaller impact.
So the
It's
roots-
whatever the commission's,
Yeah, the roots would remain intact to continue to stabilize the bank, for
You
some
may-
time.
you may get stump sprout growth, like you do with oaks. I'm not sure if locust does that, but, it would certainly eliminate an invasive species, or at least somewhat eliminate it often. As you know, it's hard to get rid of.
I would be willing to pull the locusts that are inside the foundation. Pull them, remove them,
Yeah.
and then consider cutting the locusts as, if marked and agreed with Josh,
Yeah.
cut them to the surface. But Nicole, were you anything else, Carol? Because I've got a lot.
Nope.
Nicole?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Autumn?
My only question is, what material will the driveway be?
I'm gonna do, and hopefully the board, I like the seashells and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
common
an
Swiss
impervious.
Beach.
Oh, is that okay?
Impervious
Yes.
cover.
Yes.
Yep.
It would be
It's
pervious.
Proposed pervious currently.
Crushed stone or clear sand, crushed stone. I'm having a tough time reading this plan, but it's shells. Okay. Oh my God. My mic is on, I'm just not talking at it. All right, I'll talk at it. Okay. My turn. Sewer hat on. With the moratorium, we looked at all of the projects in Swiss Beach that hadn't been connected to sewer yet, and there was a list of empty lots that hadn't been connected. Guess what? This one was not included. So I went back to the sewer one, and I have a confirmation that there was a lateral, therefore it's included in the sewer project for Swiss Beach, but they were concerned there was never a cut and cap done. I'm not sure what that means, but should be considered, and definitely a grinder pump must be used because of this being in the water. Sorry, I take my sewer hat off now. Okay, so we have a lot of no-touch zones in here. We have the 30-foot no-activity zone, which is the red line on the west side of the house. We have a 30-foot no-activity zone across the coastal dune on the south side of the house.
The light blue line.
The light blue line, yes. So at what point the red line and the light blue line sort of come together? Then you got 7 feet from the house to the driveway. Is there a line in there? I don't think there's a no-activity zone in there. My concern is that we must be able to preserve this no-activity zone. So I was looking for some type of fencing, whether it's split rail, probably the best thing, to go along that whole line of the to define the no-activity zone from the water side and from the dune side. That means that nice little cut everybody uses as a shortcut will no longer be available, and the dune will be able to fill in where the walking trail had been for a long time. I'm concerned about removing of vegetation. We talked about what to do about these invasives that are in that dune, 30-foot dune zone, and the foundation to be removed. The property next to you found a way of getting rid of every tree between their porch and Buzzards Bay view. So it's just as wide as the house, all the way down to the river. I don't want this happening here. When you have trees to remove for the foundation, the building of the property, I don't want it clear-cut between the deck and the water.
I like my privacy, and the house is going to be up high enough to be able to see. And
Yeah, because we're going to lose all those junipers and stuff like that. They're going to be gone. I think that was it. The dry wells, thank you, Kwame. Anybody in the audience would like to speak to this project for those that are left? Yes, please come forward and identify yourself. You're probably the abutter, which I mentioned.
My name's Tony Petrucci. No, I'm not that abutter. I live on Bond Street. I am full support of this project. That's it.
Okay,
Full support.
thank you.
If I may, one more time.
Yes, Josh.
I think there's a good opportunity here to remove all the invasives and maybe, better the vegetation on that bank. With my conversations with Mr. Green, I think he's in support of, having it be as natural and, as vegetated as it can be. And I guess I would suggest to the board that maybe we close the hearing tonight and allow me some time to work with Mike to come up with a planting plan on how we can remove the invasives and add more natural growth into this property. And then we can, with a new plan and proposed planting plan, make our motion to approve and condition at our next meeting.
Knowing that once we close the hearing, we have 21 days.
Correct.
Okay. Comments? Anybody here?
I think that is a very good idea.
So.
I would ask that, are you okay with that?
I am okay. I'd
Okay.
like to work with you on the plants and stuff.
Okay.
Mike?
I've identified all the invasives that I could find out there, and I think it would be relatively easy to put a table together, basically recommended management activity for each particular plant, and then submit that to you in draft form, and if it's acceptable, finalize it,
And then that would also give us some time to really work out the conditions as well.
So, the new plan was denied building, right? The new plan wasn't, what's the word I'm looking for?
So when I look,
Department denied the plan that we're looking at, correct?
and that's why you need to go to the ZBA.
Oh, the original proposal was, there was a merger issue on the lot. So there was that old foundation that you see, it was down for a number of years, so we had to go get approval from the zoning board to allow us to build on there, to show that hardship. So this is, the prior plan is approved, and it has a 10-foot, I know it's a 10-foot setback, because it met all the other, it met everything else within the zone.
So you're going-
building, so now
So-
we have to go back.
You're going back to zoning?
Oh, yeah.
Because right now, the building department denied the project, waiting for this new, right?
That's what it
No.
appeared in there.
No, so, we got the denial from the original plan,
Oh,
got the
went to
variance.
zoning. got the
Now
variance,
now we knew we had to come to you, and now we'll go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they did approve the variance once. The
Correct.
plan
It's
was
recorded on the-
modified, and now
on the deed.
you're going back to them again with this new one.
Yep, just ask for a minor modification, which I do sometimes when there's, again, it's just a 3-foot variance on the side there for,
Yep, so I can see a lot of split rail fencing, and that it be maintained, et cetera, along with the management activity for the plantings that you and Mike and Scott will put together.
Yep, and we can work out the conditions and maybe get those onto a plan as well.
if I may, Madam Chair, I like the idea of obviously getting that new plan and everything, but I don't know if we should close the hearing. Because if there's new information, or, plus it starts your ticker, so.
Yep.
The reason why, if we need to come back or you have more
So-
questions, I would keep it open.
You want to request a continuance at this time?
Well, I think that you're not going to make a vote, right? You close the
Right.
hearing,
That
but
is
there's not a
correct.
vote.
That would be correct.
I'm not sure if that's the pathway, because what if you
So-
have questions?
So we continue until 3/1 in case then something comes up, and by that time, we will have a management plan for the,
Yeah, and then it's
Invasive
submitted.
removal.
It could be really short, close the hearing, and then do the vote. Just,
Sure.
I think that,
No, you're correct. That is
Okay.
the way that it should happen. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Because I was concerned about the 21 days.
yep, and then the ticker will start after that.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, that is the way it should be
That's
done.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I move that we continue this hearing until 3/1/23.
March 1st, I have a motion and a second to
Second.
continue. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 500 until 3/1.
Thank you.
Finally.
We're going to see you again.
I want you
This
to
wasn't
see,
the last
these
hearing.
are all the continuance requests.
Your hair was red.
Thank you for your time, I really appreciate it.
You're very
Yes,
welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Have a good night.
Night.
Can we take 4 Sea Meadow Lane out of order here?
Yeah, since the next one's going to be continued anyway.
Yes, that's correct. And for the
Yep.
certificate of compliance
Yes.
request.
So we're going to go to the
This is
order of
for,
conditions.
this is 4 Sea Meadow Lane. It's to amend an order of conditions.
Okay, somebody, you've been so patient.
Good evening. I'm Natasha Kurtz, architect, here on behalf of the property owner. I'm here to request the amendment of the previously approved order of conditions. The previous project was of a 2,272 addition. We're reducing the scope to just the garage. That will be sitting within the same footprint of the previously proposed project. The garage will also have a unfinished attic with a pull-down access stair and dry wells installed as well.
Yep, so I didn't pull up a plan showing the approved order of conditions, but this new garage is smaller. And like was mentioned, it has its dry well system. So my recommendation would be to issue an amended order of conditions for this new plan.
Questions? Kwame?
No questions, thank you.
None.
Carol?
No questions.
Nicole?
No questions.
Autumn?
No questions.
I have none, and there's nobody here to ask. So, someone would like to take a motion that we amend the order of conditions?
Make a motion to amend the order of conditions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, begun, were ordered, the conditions is amended, and thank you for the dry wells.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the continued hearings, we have Orion Varlarco of 72B Burgess Point Road has asked to be continued.
I move that we continue to March 1st, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, it's continued. We're now down to certification of compliances.
So these two certificates of compliance are for 13 over Jordan Road. I went out, made a site visit. Everything seems to be within substantial construction to the original order of conditions. The only thing I will mention, and I don't know where the commission wants to fall on this, is do we want to require the removal of the erosion controls before the issuance of certificates of compliance moving forward?
We've never done that before.
Right, and so I guess I could kind of go either way on that. The issue would be is, let's say someone believes that they are done with their project, they remove the erosion controls, and then the commission feels that they are not done with their project, then we're forcing them to put in new erosion controls, potentially to finish the project. Or we allow the erosion controls to be removed after the issuance of the certificate of compliance. But the certificate of compliance requires that the site be stabilized prior to the issuance. So it can go either way. It's just how the commission, wants
What
to
were the
handle
two, what were the two of these for?
it. It was for the construction of the house that is in, I believe it's the velocity zone.
Yep.
The house is on stilts.
One is for the house, and what was the other one for? The garage or
Yeah, it's that
back
garage
shed.
up on the hill.
the back building?
Correct. I think
Okay.
it has 4 carports to it.
And one was for the house and one was for the garage. As they came to us a separate time for both.
Okay, and now they're just trying to close out both of them.
I would like to see them removed after we approve. Because it's certainly it's certainly unsightly, so I'm
Right.
sure they'll try to remove them.
I believe that the goal is always to remove the erosion controls. I think it's just whether the commission wants to see it done before or after the project.
Kwame, make it,
I think I think it should be removed after the,
after?
after the project's all done.
Right, because then if there is any issues, it's still up and they can take care of it.
Right.
Michael?
Same after the project's all done.
Carol?
I agree.
I
Nicole?
agree.
Okay.
Okay. So someone would like to take a motion to do a certification, approve a certification of compliances for those two DEP numbers, 2594 and 2608?
I move that we issue certificates of compliance to Thomas Paterno,
Parento.
13 over Jordan Road. The file number is SE 076-2594 and SE 076-2608.
That's the motion.
Second.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Okey dokey. Now, I haven't seen the minutes of February 1st, have you?
I think I included them in the email, no? We received them.
I don't remember seeing them.
If I didn't, I will include them for the next hearing to be approved.
Okay, so we welcomed Autumn, and I got her name right every time I said it. I can't guarantee that. Okay, Parker Mill Dam, we got a request if we could give a letter of support for Parker Mill Dam, and my response was, well, did anybody ever come for conservation and talk about the Parker Mill Dam project?
Yeah, that's correct. I asked Mr. Buckland to come speak about it tonight. He was unable to. He had to head home. The only issue with that is that they need the letter by, I believe it's Friday.
And
the
I'm not going to
17th.
ask you to approve a letter for a project you've not seen, because I don't think any of you have been to any of the public hearings and meetings they've had on Parker Mill. Do you know where Parker Mill Dam is?
No.
Do you know? I do. No? Do you know what Tremont Nail is?
Yeah.
Yes.
We
Well,
went
that's
there
the
like,
Parker Mill
Okay,
Dam.
I'm,
went there
yeah.
like 2 years ago or something
Yes.
like that.
Yes,
Right.
so that's the
It's a little
Parker Mill.
dam right now, right down
And
by
the
And it
the
has
mill.
that wood thing
Yep.
just to protect the
Exactly.
water flow.
So, and the wood and the fish ladder and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
There's 3 projects being presented. One, just thought to do something with the fish ladder in that little section. Another one is take it down a little, and another one is totally remove the dam. So there's cost associated, there's impact of the river flow up underneath Route 25 and Route 28, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not going to ask for a letter of support when you people haven't seen or heard of the project.
Makes sense.
And they haven't determined which one they want to do.
Well, the recommendation is that it's a full removal, but there's concern about the cost and the impact of upstream bridges. So there's a lot on the plate.
Yeah,
I would still like to have Ken come talk to us about it.
Right.
Because this is a big project, but it isn't a 2-minute presentation. It takes at least 10, if not 15 minutes to talk about the 3 alternatives and the impact it has on the pond above it, the river level upon, who owns the property that's going to be exposed when it becomes a river and no longer a pond. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in play here.
Sure. I can reach out to Ken to see if he'd be amenable to coming to a meeting. Our next meeting actually is pretty light as of right now.
And if we could more than likely make it the first thing on the agenda as opposed to keeping Mr. Buckland here for the whole meeting.
That's what I would suggest, to take him out of order and have him go first, just because, as you know, he works a full day.
He's a town, he's,
Yep, and that's normal protocol for the select board, to take employees out of order to.
and if we could ask him if he could do it in no more than 10 minutes, a quick overview. I don't have to see the full half-hour presentation that I've seen more than once.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'd like a good review of
Just a
what the
review.
impacts are going to be.
So we could have it at our next meeting, or I could look into the possibility of potential Zoom, if, the commission want to look at that.
No, don't
Okay.
say that word. I hate that word.
No, that's for him, though, right? If he can't make it.
Well, maybe somebody else can present it. I mean,
I guess I could always look into the possibility of having a Zoom here in room 320. So we could Zoom on the monitor and have someone present, whether that be Ken or someone else.
yeah, maybe Ken has somebody who, but I would recommend that at least this commission have some idea of the major work being proposed at that site. Because it's going to have to come before us for approval.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm absolutely in
sense.
agreement with that. I think we really need to,
I mean, that will give you some time to think about it before you actually see something in writing.
and the proposal they're going to go with, that they're considering, is going to be complete removal?
I believe the recommendation will be a complete removal. I've not seen the specific letters of support for which of the 3 phases to go for. So,
Okay. So we could actually write a letter for any one of them, and it
But-
might not matter, because it might not be the one that they decide to do.
yeah, but if they have to have the letter by Friday, we can't make that deadline.
No.
No.
Oh, there's,
So,
And I told them they wanted open space. I said, we're not meeting, so I can't do it for open space, but I can't ask you people to present something or prove something you've not seen. Okay.
that's fair. And then the last one is beach nourishment, which I will actually push to our next meeting. I'm actually interested in what Pinehurst Beach is gonna do. So I'd like to see what DEP's recommendation is on that.
And one of the things is we've tended to use beach nourishment as a RDA.
Correct.
And Josh is having something else, would like to see it a full notice of intent, right?
Yeah, because there are some things that should be required when doing beach nourishment. You want to look at the use of like sand and where it's sourced. There's also beach profiles that should be done somewhat before the project and usually for a few years after. And that's just something that'd be very hard to condition under an RDA.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is you're filling a resource area, which is the definition of a notice of intent.
And
So-
part of it is that we ask for the sieve report ahead of time, and we know where the sand will be coming from, because we've always said, okay, do it, give us light sand, but this way we can have it done while they present it to us, correct?
Yeah.
So we know that they've done their homework, and they can source where the sand will be coming from. So that, sorry, I took some, this is what you wanted to discuss, but he'll cover it in more detail at the next meeting.
Yeah, or maybe I'll just take it off the agenda and we'll figure out when I talk about it, but that's mainly what I wanted to bring up, is that it's
Oh,
potentially
I
been.
did your thunder again, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry
Because
about it.
that last storm we had did a job on a lot of beaches throughout the town. So we're going to have more than one request come in to be,
For
can I get my
nourishment.
sand back?
Yes, yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot coming forward, but.
Anybody have anything else? If not, I think we've completed our, you're going to look for February 1st minutes, right? I don't
Yeah.
think I ever got them.
I
Did
will.
any get
I've
them?
never saw any.
I haven't seen.
Okay,
All right.
so
just
that, if that's it, somebody, we're at 8:40.
Motion, to go ahead, Michael.
Motion to close the hearing?
Nope.
Second.
Nope, we're
Nope.
not closing the hearing, we're adjourning
We're
the
adjourning
Motion to adjourn the hearing, I'm sorry.
meeting.
the meeting.
I said.
Second.
You said hearing. We're going to motion
Motion to
to,
adjourn the meeting.
thank you. That's the
Second.
motion, and the second, all in favor? Aye. 8:41. All right. Thank you,
All right.
folks. I know it's been a long one.